Hey guys, and welcome back to another Cyberpunk 2077 video. This time we will be trying to answer one simple question. Why I and many others still continue playing Cyberpunk 2077, and is it essentially worth playing in the current state? With so much negativity surrounding the game, people like to focus on the disappointment and undelivered promises, the bugs, and the performance issues. Looking at the internet, all you see is hate posts about how this game sucks and how people want their money back. And while saying that Cyberpunk 2077 is a perfect game is an understatement of the year, there are still hundreds of thousands of people playing it. In fact, as of making this video, Cyberpunk 2077 is still in the top 20 streamed games on Twitch, which means it can't be that bad, right? I mean, even I've been guilty of focusing on the negatives, and I've been called down on it during one of my streams. I was in the middle of a rant about another bug or glitch I just encountered, and one of my viewers asked me why do I even bother playing the game when all I do is complaining about it. And he had a valid point. I think with all the disappointment that a lot of us feel, we forget to focus on the positives that the game has to offer that makes us keep coming back for more. So that's what we will be doing today. We will take a look at my top 8 reasons why, in my opinion, Cyberpunk 2077 is worth playing in January 2021. For those who are new to the channel, if you end up enjoying the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel to join the family. Also, as always, be sure to check out my social media in the description below to stay up to date. Now, before we start with the first item, guys, I understand that I might get some heat for making this video. So let me start by saying that I am well aware of the issues that plague the all-gen consoles, and as a result I understand that everyone's experience of this game can differ by a lot. But all I can do here is use my own personal experience after spending almost 100 hours playing the game on a PC with a decent but definitely not OP build. So if your experience differs from mine, for better or for worse, let me know in the comment section below which points do you agree with and which points you don't, or if I missed something that you love about the game that makes you continue playing it. And now, without further ado, the first thing that I love about Cyberpunk 2077 that makes me want to come back for more is also the biggest one on the list, the Cyberpunk world. CD Projekt Red managed to build an incredible city that feels alive and looks absolutely stunning. I don't think I've ever felt as immersed in the game as I do in the Night City. Don't get me wrong, there are games that did a very good job at it, like GTA 5 or Assassin's Creed, Ghost of Tsushima or Red Dead Redemption 2 just off the top of my head. But it feels different here. Everything they created in this world gives it that very successful illusion of a city that never sleeps. From the streets packed with cars and random NPCs, to the ships and transport shuttles flying over your head, and the sense of scale in the middle of a city with corpo skyscrapers all around you. I genuinely feel absorbed in the city, and when I don't try to dig too deep, on the surface it really is a sight to behold. I've said it before and I'll say it again, hopping on a bike to cruise through the city without any specific destination in mind is one of my favorite things to do. You just get lost in all the streets and roads the city takes you, and before you know it, you're riding around the city for the 3rd time, but you don't mind because the sun is now coming up and you can almost feel the light breeze and the first morning sunlight hitting your V's face. I've never really experienced a feeling like this in any other open world game that allowed me to drive a car or ride a bike. And it's a testament to the dev team, showing just how much thought they put into developing a world that gives me such freedom and feeling. And now going from the biggest thing on the list to the smallest one. The next thing I love about Cyberpunk 2077 is the attention to detail. Because of my PC specs, I didn't get the chance to experience the game in 4K, but boy, I wish I did. But even at 1080p though, the level of detail in this game is beyond ridiculous at times. For example, I mentioned before that I hate the first-person view while driving in a car. But if you are sitting there as a passenger, riding alongside another main character, you can appreciate just how much detail the devs put into designing every single vehicle in the game. You will not find 2 different vehicles with the same interior design. Each design feels unique, it complements the car's style, and it is perfected to the last zero on the dashboard. Take gun design as another example. Every gun feels and looks unique. The whole smart gun idea reminds me of bending of the bullets in the Wanted movie with Angelina Jolie, which I thought was super badass. And I mean, Dexter Deshawn's gun uses money for bullets, for crying out loud. Who thought of that? That's amazing. There were a few minor details that I missed in the game, like being able to buy a Jackie Wells drink from Claire in the afterlife. That one hurt, I'll admit. But in the spirit of focusing on the positives, overall the level of detail in the world blows me away over and over. And it's the details that I have yet to find that make me want to come back for more. No role-playing game would be complete without compelling, complex, and relatable characters that accompany you on your journey through the main or story side arcs. So it's no surprise that next we will talk about the amazingly fleshed out characters, which are the cornerstones of this game. Everyone who played even an hour of Cyberpunk 2077 has a favorite character they remember for whatever reason. And the fact that if you ask different people about their favorite character, and they give you different answers, speaks to how these characters relate differently to a wide range of players. A lot of players love Jackie being their first sidekick. Personally, I wish Jackie stayed alive in the story a bit longer so I could build more of an emotional bond with him, but I can definitely see the appeal. In my mind, there were other characters, however, that made a long-lasting impression on me, like Judy Alvarez, Evelyn Parker, Lady Wakako, and Claire off the top of my head. Also, that girl Sky, I spent a fairly brief but very intimate moment in the Clouds Club during one of the story missions in Act 2. Just like in the Witcher series, CD Projekt Red focused on telling the story through these characters, and that's what they do best. It's been 5 years since Witcher 3 came out, and to date, I continue seeing threads of die-hard fans fighting over who is a better love interest for Geralt, Yennefer or Triss. I expect we will see the same happen years down the road for Judy and Panam, or River and Kerry. These are characters that you build an emotional bond with, and you wouldn't be able to do that if the characters were poorly written, uninteresting, or unrelatable. I'm sure there's still many interesting characters for me to find in the Cyberpunk world, and that's one of the main things that keeps pulling me back. And speaking of amazing characters, no character would be compelling enough without a good voice acting. And the voice acting in this game is simply exceptional. As an example, I'll refer back to the scene with Sky in the Clouds Club. That was some straight up ASMR shit right there. And I kid you not, I was having goosebumps during that scene from just how surreal it was. And I guarantee you that with bad voice acting, that scene would end up being pretty awkward and frankly a total disaster. Voice acting and facial expressions can make or break the game. Take for example the original Resident Evil game from 1996. People remember two things from that game: how scary it was and the hilariously bad voice acting. Luckily, the voice acting in Cyberpunk 2077 is top tier, and it's impossible to find single main character with voice acting that would be subpar. I'm referring to the main characters here. Random world NPCs are a different story, but that's not the focus of this video. CD Projekt Red put a huge emphasis on immersion, and voice acting is one of the essential keys to be able to deliver it. And boy did they do a tremendous job at it. Now that we covered the world, the details, and the characters, let's talk about the main story. Is it the longest and the most amazing story ever told in a video game? Hell no. But is it good enough to make me want to see where it goes and how it ends? Hell yeah. Decisions you make while interacting with the main story characters shape the progression and the end of your own story, and you can end up having 7 different endings, so there is definitely a replayability value here. The story does a pretty good job at introducing different parts of the Cyberpunk world to you, so don't worry if you're not a big exploring type, you still get to see a good portion of the Night City and its suburbs. There were quite a few pretty emotional moments during my playthrough, which goes to show just how well the story has been written. My only wish here is that the story was at least a bit longer, but I guess I can only hope that CD Projekt Red expands on the story as they add new content in the game. But even if you completely skip all the side activities and just focus on the main mission and the side gigs, you will still get a decent amount of content to keep coming back to. Now, we can't talk about Cyberpunk 2077 and not talk about the meat and potato of the game, the combat. Nobody can deny that the combat is incredibly fun. And this is coming from someone who is not a huge fan of first-person shooters. And Cyberpunk being an FPS was actually one of the main reasons I considered not buying the game in the first place. I really wanted to hate the combat in this game just to prove my point, since I usually prefer third-person view RPGs like Assassin's Creed, Mass Effect, or Witcher 3. So I'm probably the last person you would expect to put combat on their list of top things they love about the game. Yet here it is, and I can't really imagine it any other way now. It doesn't matter what character build or what weapons you prefer, the wide variety of available combat styles gives you the freedom to experiment and find new and creative ways to spice up your murdering spree. The coolest part though is that all of these styles can be insanely effective if you build your character right. So the replayability factor here is huge, since changing your combat style for a second playthrough might give you a completely different experience, for better or for worse. I've read some reports that CD Projekt Red is eventually planning on introducing an option to switch to third-person POV, which would definitely significantly change the dynamic of the game, so maybe eventually I'll end up actually seeing my character during the combat, but until then, I've grown to fall in love with the current combat system in the first-person POV. 7th item on the list is one I cannot imagine the game without. The music in Cyberpunk 2077 is absolutely insane. This dystopian, futuristic, electronic, punk rock is seamlessly blended with the world, and it's rebellious, psychedelic, it's noisy, and it's super aggressive. I think industrial is the best way to describe it. It doesn't matter what you do in the game, fight enemies, drive through the city, or talking to a character in the middle of a club during a story mission. You can hear different music accompanying different game elements to either spike up your heart rate or give you a sense of melancholy. If done right, music can be simply iconic. I mean, look at Star Wars and John Williams' score. Or in the gaming world, look at God of War, Final Fantasy, The Elder Scrolls, or The Witcher 3. The music in these games was so iconic, it lived on its own outside of the games. And even people who don't play video games fell in love with the music. And I believe Cyberpunk 2077 joins this elite club. The music here is iconic, it is amazing, and it without a doubt belongs on this list. Alright, the last thing I love about Cyberpunk 2077 is its potential. I'm 100% confident that CD Projekt Red will fix the current issues players are experiencing within a few months, and they will start introducing new content into the game soon after. This game absolutely has the potential to be the Game of the Year material, and there's so many more stories the devs can tell in the Night City. They can add new features, new areas to explore, new characters to interact with, or new romance options. Not even mentioning new cars, guns, cyberware, I could go on and on. Everything that I listed in the first 7 points can be expanded on and improved upon. And I have every confidence in CD Projekt Red that they will at the end of the day deliver the game that they promised us and the game they can be proud of. Just imagine coming back a year from now and finding that the performance is no longer an issue, the bugs and glitches have been fixed and addressed, there are no more crashes, and hours of new content have been added to the game for free. I don't know about you, but I would be excited to jump back in and see what the devs have in store for me. So in closing guys, I do believe there is a lot in this game that makes it worth playing, even in the current state. Do I love the game as a whole? I can't say I do, but are there aspects of the game that I love that overshadow all the negative things that piss me off? Abso-fucking-lutely. And that's why me and so many others continue playing Cyberpunk 2077 and having a blast at it. Again, if you think that I missed something you absolutely love about the game, let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear about it. If you did enjoy the video, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.